Hi, welcome back to the Branding Your Business podcast. My name is Praise Santos McKenna. I'm your host and founder of the branding studio, Come Plum. We help small businesses check branding off their to-do list. And as we help them check things off their to-do list, oftentimes I see things on their to-do list that shouldn't be on their to-do list. Honestly, there are common mistakes that I see brands make that I want to share with you all to avoid, to pivot, and to think differently about these things instead. So, let me share with you 4 common mistakes that brands make. The first common mistake is that they think branding is all about visuals. They think it's about logo, it's about color, it's about font. We call that your brand visual identity. And though that is important, that's not everything. A brand is really the soul of your business. The brand is really your ethos, your values, it's your reputation, it's the system of influence you own, it's what you're known for. So if you're thinking it's just visuals, I need you to think again. If you are listening to this, I encourage you to go back to one of our earlier episodes where we talk about your brand foundations, your mission, your vision, your values, what you stand for, how the world will be different because your business and brand exists. That's what your brand should be known for. And then your visuals, whether it's photography, videography, your font, your website can add to that. So that is the first mistake that brands make. The second common mistake that brands make is that their online persona and their in-person experience are two totally different things. Now, hear me out. I've talked about this before, and that maybe you fall in love with a brand. Maybe there is an ad targeted toward you, and you're like, oh my goodness, they get me, right? They are speaking my language. They know what I need. They love you on Instagram stories. They love what you're posting on LinkedIn. And then they hire you and you show up and this warm, friendly vibe is just not there. And instead, the experience they feel is cold. It is not personalized to them. It just feels totally different than what they expected you to be. This happens, maybe this is a more extreme example, but this happens often in that we meet these dream brands that we see online and then we get disheartened when we meet them in person because their experience is so different. Sometimes this is a disconnect with the brand's, again, foundations. They're not clear of what they want their audience to experience. Honestly, maybe the service provider is really burnt out and they can't show up in that way. Or in fact, maybe your team is showing up in one way and you are showing up online in another way. There's a huge disconnect, and that can ruin your brand's reputation. That can hurt you in the long run. That can hurt your revenues in the long run. That'll stop people referring people to you. It'll be just a big mix up. And so what you need to do when it comes to that is to really align the online experience and the in-person experience. Maybe your website is really polished. It's really beautiful. It's really aligned. And then when you show up in person, you show up in a really unprofessional manner. How can those brand experiences be consistent across all touch points? If you can define what you want your experience to be, you want to leave people feeling known, you want to leave people feeling welcome, you want to leave people feeling that they were treated with professionalism, dictate what that looks like when you provide that service, dictate what that looks like when you show up online so that there's a consistency there. Okay, a third common mistake that I see amongst brands, now hear me out, this is a little more meta, is that they think their brand and their business is the same thing. So I've defined this earlier on in that your business is the thing you do. It's the service you provide. It's the problem you solve. And though that's a good thing, that is not your brand. Your brand, again, is the way people think, feel, and say about you. It puts the soul into what your business is. And so our service, when we first started especially, was photography, right? We delivered photos. We had a camera. But our brand is showing up in a professional manner. Our brand is the inspiration. Our brand is the confidence we leave with people. Our brand are the resources that we give to people. They are not the same thing. And we don't want to confuse the two together. It's this feeling that we invoke into the business we do. So we want to make sure that those are differentiated. But why is this important, Praise? Well, it's because your brand can span different businesses. So Complum offers way more than photography now. We also offer videography. We also offer this podcast. We also offer web design, brand identity, brand coaching. And those services are all different, but the way we do it is the same. The brand stays the same. So that is a common mistake people make, is to confuse their brand and their business. And I don't want you to confuse those. Okay, the fourth mistake that brands often make is that they have such an aligned external brand, but their internal brand is a little messy. So perhaps you have it a bit together, right? Your email marketing, your website, your Instagram, when you do pop ups, when you host events, there's a consistency there. And yet, there's not a consistency when it comes to you and your team members. You and your team members don't know how to show up for each other, or the internal culture doesn't match what you're putting out there for your audience. This is a huge thing. It happens in small businesses, it happens in big corporations as well, when there's a lack of integrity for the people they serve and the people who are doing the serving. So for us, we have three groups of brand values: whole people, whole world, whole people in the world. And what that means is there is just this level of integrity and service throughout what we do. And we want our audience to experience that. But I especially want our team of photographers, our videographers, to also feel that I'm inspiring them, that they feel confident, that they feel resourced along the way too. So that is my challenge for you as well. Do the people that you hire, the people who work for you, get the same amount of dignity and respect and honestly brand integrity, brand cohesiveness that you give to your external audience? Make sure internally and externally those things align, because they are the ones who are also your brand ambassadors. Your team members are also going to be the ones to bring more business to you. You want things to be held together and led with integrity. I share these four mistakes with you so you don't have to make them. Again, my name is Praise. I lead the branding studio Plum. We provide education and visuals when it comes to branding, and we're here for you to check those things off your to-do list.